Have you ever been on the verge of a major success, a promotion, a healthy relationship, a creative breakthrough, and suddenly found yourself procrastinating, picking a fight, or losing all motivation? What if that wasn't a sign of weakness? What if it was your inner safety system screaming, "Danger"? You think you want success more than anything, but the child inside you who learned to survive by being small, helpful, and invisible is terrified of it. To that part of you, success isn't a reward, it is a threat. It means being seen, being judged, and potentially being cast out. And so, in a heartbreaking paradox, your self-sabotage is a misguided act of love. Today, we will confront this secret fear that no one talks about, the fear of our own power. First, we will redefine the very meaning of power, not as domination, but as your own authentic life force. Then, we will uncover the three deep, hidden fears that are secretly driving your self-sabotage. And most importantly, I will guide you through a simple, physical practice to gently teach your nervous system that it is finally safe to succeed. It is time to give yourself permission to shine without the fear of being burned. To begin this journey of owning your power, I invite you to make a new declaration. Share it in the comments below. Write, "It is safe for me to shine." After the profound work of reparenting, something amazing begins to happen. The psychic energy that was once consumed by fear, by hypervigilance, by the constant performance of being nice, that energy is returned to you. You start to feel stronger, more capable, more confident. You begin to stand taller. But just as you begin to stand tall, an old, familiar part of you pulls at your sleeve and whispers, "Not too high. It's dangerous up here." And so the paradox begins. You get the opportunity for the promotion you've wanted for years, and you start procrastinating on the proposal. Your relationship finally becomes safe and intimate, and you pick a fight over something meaningless. You complete a creative project you are proud of, and you immediately find a flaw or dismiss the praise. This is the bewildering, soul-crushing experience of self-sabotage. The conscious adult you is pressing the accelerator, while an invisible, unconscious foot is slamming on the brake. And the question that echoes in the mind of every person who experiences this is, what is wrong with me? Today, we answer that question. And the answer is, nothing. Nothing is wrong with you. Your self-sabotage is not a sign of weakness. It is not a character flaw. It is a misguided act of love. It is the loyal, terrified inner child still trying to protect you, still enforcing the terms of that old primal contract we spoke of, because that child learned a powerful, life-shaping equation. To be small is to be safe. To be invisible is to be loved. Therefore, to be big, to be successful, to be powerful, is to be in mortal danger. Before we can heal this pattern, we must first redefine the very word that scares that inner child so much. The word power. The old definition of power, the one stored in your inner child's memory, is about control over others. It is about being a threat. It is about arrogance. It is about the loud, angry, or dominant figures from your past. To the inner child, power is something that gets you in trouble. It is something that can lead to judgment,
to jealousy, and to the ultimate terror, abandonment. Of course, it's afraid of that. But we, as conscious adults, must create a new definition. The new definition of power is not about control over others. It is about sovereignty over yourself. True power is your authentic life force energy, flowing without apology. It is the ability to say a clear yes to your own soul and a calm no to what harms it. It is the capacity to create a life that is in alignment with your deepest truth. This power is not a weapon. It is a wellspring. Your fear of success is actually a fear of the old, distorted version of power. And this fear is very sophisticated. It does not show up as a monster. It disguises itself in 1,000 different, seemingly logical behaviors. Let's look at the faces of self-sabotage. Let's imagine Chloe, our nurse, who has been doing this deep work. She is feeling more confident. She is setting boundaries. Her supervisor notices and recommends her for a leadership position, a role that would involve more responsibility and visibility. The adult Chloe is thrilled, but the terrified child inside sounds the alarm, and suddenly self-sabotage appears. Its first face is procrastination and sudden fatigue. The deadline for her application is a week away. Suddenly, she starts getting debilitating migraines. She comes home from work feeling a leaden exhaustion she hasn't felt in months. She tells herself, "I'm just too tired to work on it tonight. I'll do it tomorrow." But tomorrow never comes. This is not laziness. It is her nervous system, orchestrated by the inner child, pulling the emergency brake. It is creating a physical state of shutdown to protect her from the perceived danger of success. The second face of self-sabotage is even more elegant. It is perfectionism. Chloe finally sits down to write her application letter, but she obsesses over every single word. She writes and rewrites the first sentence for 3 hours. She tells herself she's just trying to do a good job. But the hidden truth, the insight that Carl Jung's work reveals, is that perfectionism is the most refined form of procrastination. The unconscious logic is flawless. If I never finish it because it's not perfect, then I never have to face the terror of actually getting the job, of being seen, of being powerful. The third face is subtle and often shows up in our relationships. It is picking fights and creating drama. At the same time Chloe is up for this promotion, her relationship with her partner has become closer, more intimate than ever before. This new level of closeness feels wonderful and terrifying. It is an unfamiliar state of success. So one evening, she starts a major argument over how he loaded the dishwasher. The conscious adult her knows it's absurd, but the unconscious child is desperately trying to create distance, to reset the level of intimacy back to a more familiar, less vulnerable, and therefore safer level. It sabotages the good feeling to return to a familiar state of being. And the final face of self-sabotage is one that nice people know all too well. It is downplaying your wins. Chloe gets a glowing review from a patient's family. They praise her compassion and skill. Instead of simply saying, "Thank you," and letting the good feeling in, she immediately says, "Oh, it was nothing. Anyone would have done the same." She deflects the praise. She minimizes her own light. Why? To reassure that terrified part of her, to whisper to the inner child, "Don't worry, I'm not really that powerful. I'm not shining too brightly. I'm still small. I'm still safe. Please don't be afraid." Procrastination, perfectionism, creating drama, downplaying your wins. These are not your flaws. They are your symptoms. They are the desperate, misguided strategies of a loyal guardian who is still operating from an old map, a map where the territory labeled success is marked with dragons. So what exactly are those dragons? What is the child inside so truly deeply afraid of? Beneath all these behaviors lie three core fears, three primal anxieties that we must have the courage to name before we can begin to heal them.
To heal a fear, we must first have the courage to name it, to look the dragon in the eye. The self-sabotage you experience is not a random chaos. It is a highly targeted defense system activated by three specific core fears, three primal anxieties that the inner child cannot bear. Let's bring them into the light, one by one. The first, and for the people-pleaser, the most powerful core fear, is the fear of outshining. The child inside you learned through 1,000 tiny interactions that your brilliance could be a threat to the connection you needed to survive. Maybe when you celebrated a good grade, a parent reacted with indifference or even jealousy. Maybe when you expressed a strong, intelligent opinion, you were told you were being too much or intimidating. Your nervous system created a powerful equation, a blueprint for survival. To be bright was to be a target. To be average was to be safe. To outshine others was to risk being cast out, abandoned. So now, as an adult, when you are on the verge of success, when your light begins to shine brightly, the 7-year-old inside panics. It sees your success not as a victory, but as a profound relational risk. It asks the terrifying questions. If I get this promotion, will my friends still like me? Or will they be jealous? If I create a truly happy relationship, will I make my sister, who is struggling, feel bad about her own life? If I shine, will I be left all alone in the light? And so, to protect you from that perceived threat of abandonment, it pulls the emergency brake. It creates procrastination. It downplays your wins. It dims your light to keep you safely in the tribe. It is a profound, albeit misguided, act of loyalty to your need for connection. Let's think of Chloe, our nurse, who is up for the leadership position. She has a close friend at work, another nurse, who she knows also wanted the job, but wasn't recommended. The adult Chloe knows she deserves the opportunity, but the inner child is terrified. It whispers, "If you get this, Sarah will hate you. She will stop being your friend. You will be alone." And that fear is so powerful, so primal, that it activates the self-sabotage. Chloe forgets to submit her application by the deadline. She tells herself she was just too busy. But the truth is, her fear of outshining her friend and losing that connection was more powerful than her desire for success. The second core fear is more subtle. It is the fear of responsibility and expectation. Failure, in a strange way, is easy. It is a known state. Success is a burden. The inner child thinks, if I succeed this time, everyone will expect me to succeed forever. The pressure will be immense. If I write a brilliant report today, my boss will expect a brilliant report every day. If I am a patient and loving partner this week, I will be expected to be that way always. Success raises the bar. And to the part of you that is already exhausted from a lifetime of performance, That is a terrifying prospect. It feels like signing up for a new, even more demanding job, a job with no room for error. The inner child, who equates mistakes with shame and rejection, cannot bear this pressure. So it sabotages the success to keep the expectations low. It prefers the familiar comfort of not being noticed to the high-stakes pressure of being seen as capable. It is a strategy to protect you from the perceived crushing weight of your own potential. And this leads us directly to the third and perhaps the deepest core fear. It is the fear of visibility. The child who learned to survive by being easy and invisible is terrified of the spotlight. Success, by its very nature, makes you visible. It puts you on a stage, and the stage attracts attention, both positive and negative. When you are successful, you will be praised, yes, but you will also be judged. You will be criticized. You will be envied. To the inner child, this is the ultimate nightmare, the very thing it spent its entire childhood trying to avoid. Let's imagine a man named David, a talented graphic designer in his late 40s. For years, he has done excellent work for his agency, but has never put his own work out into the world. He has a folder on his computer filled with breathtaking personal projects. He dreams of starting his own freelance business. He knows he has the talent. But every time he gets close to launching his website, he is paralyzed by a wave of anxiety. He is sabotaging himself. Why? He digs deep, he does the work, and he realizes his father was a very critical man. As a child, any time David proudly showed his work, his father would point out the one small flaw. The child David learned a painful lesson. To be seen is to be criticized. To be visible is to be found wanting. And so, the adult David keeps his brilliant work hidden in a folder. His inner child is still protecting him from his father's judgment by keeping him invisible. His self-sabotage is a 30-year-old attempt to stay safe from a criticism that may not even exist anymore. The fear of outshining, the fear of responsibility, and the fear of visibility. These are the dragons. These are the powerful, unconscious forces that fuel your procrastination, your perfectionism, and your impulse to downplay your own light. And they are all rooted in that one core belief of the inner child. It is not safe to be powerful. So how do we help that child feel safe? How do we teach an old, primal part of our nervous system a new truth? We cannot do it with logic alone. We cannot simply tell it, "Don't be afraid." We must show it. We must give it a new, felt experience, a physical, somatic memory that proves in its bones that it is now safe to be powerful. And that is the gentle and profound practice we will learn next. We cannot fight these old fears with logic. They do not live in the rational mind. They live in the body. They are coded into your nervous system. And so to heal them, we must speak the language the body understands, the language of sensation, the language of felt experience. We need to gently and repeatedly expand the window of tolerance of our nervous system. We need to teach it, through practice, a new truth. The truth that it is now safe to feel successful. It is now safe to feel powerful. We are not going to do this by thinking about it. We are going to do this by feeling it. This is a practice in what is called somatics, the wisdom of the body. It is a simple, private, and profound exercise. I call it the 30-second embodiment of success. You can do this anywhere, but for the first time, I invite you to find a space where you can stand up and not be disturbed for just a moment. So if you are able, I invite you to stand up with me now. If not, you can do this sitting in your chair. The first step is to simply feel your feet on the floor. Feel the solid ground beneath you. Rock back and forth a little. Feel your own weight. This is an act of grounding. You are signaling to your nervous system, I am here. I am present. I am in this body. The second step is to recall a micro-win. Do not think of a giant, overwhelming success. That will only trigger the fear. Think of something small, something recent. Maybe you successfully navigated a difficult conversation. Maybe you finally cleaned out that cluttered drawer. Maybe you said a gentle no and survived. It can be anything that gives you even a tiny flicker of pride or accomplishment. Take a moment. Find one. Let's imagine Chloe, our nurse. Her micro-win for the day was successfully inserting a difficult IV line on a nervous patient, calming them down in the process. It was a moment of pure competence and compassion. Now, the third step is to feel it in your body. Close your eyes. Bring that micro-win to mind. And instead of just thinking about it, I want you to feel the sensation of it. Where does that feeling of competence live in your body? Is it a warmth in your chest? A sense of expansion in your shoulders? A feeling of groundedness in your legs? There is no right answer. Just notice the physical sensation of that small success. For Chloe, it is a feeling of calm solidity in her hands and a warmth that spreads up her arms and into her heart. Your only job for the next 30 seconds is to stay with that physical sensation. Breathe into it. Let it be there. And now, the final, most important step, the declaration. While you are still feeling that sensation of success in your body, I want you to whisper, either silently or out loud, this new truth, this new piece of code for your nervous system. Say, it is safe for me to be powerful. Breathe. My success serves everyone. Breathe again. It is safe for me to shine. And then gently open your eyes. What you have just done is incredibly profound. You have created a new memory. Not just a mental memory, but a somatic memory, a body-based memory. You have created a 30-second recording of the felt experience of success, paired with the message of safety. This is how we retrain the loyal, terrified guardian inside. We do not yell at it. We do not shame it. We gently and repeatedly give it new data. We show it, through direct experience, that the world has changed, that the old rules no longer apply, that your power is no longer a threat to your survival. Let's think about David, the graphic designer who was afraid to launch his website because of his father's old criticisms. His homework is not to finish the entire website. That is too big. His homework is to do this 30-second practice every single day. One day, his micro-win is designing a beautiful logo for a fictitious company. Another day, it's organizing his portfolio. Each day, he feels that flicker of pride in his chest, and he pairs it with the words, "It is safe for me to be seen." He is not fighting the fear. He is slowly, gently building a foundation of felt safety underneath the fear. He is expanding his capacity to hold the energy of his own brilliance. And one day, not with a great dramatic effort, but with a new sense of quiet readiness, he will press publish. Because his nervous system will finally believe what his conscious mind already knows, that it is safe.
This is the path forward. It is not about forcing yourself to be brave. It is about creating the inner conditions where bravery becomes the natural next step. It is about becoming a safe container for your own magnificent power.
Today, we have dared to look at a paradox that lies deep in the human soul. The fear of the very thing we desire most: success, fulfillment, our own authentic power. We have learned that this fear is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of a loyal, outdated protection program still running in the background of our lives. Your self-sabotage is not a flaw. It is a misguided act of love from the inner child who learned a simple, powerful lesson. To be small is to be safe. We have redefined the meaning of power, not as a weapon to control others, but as a wellspring of life force to create a life that is truly your own. And we have named the dragons that guard the gate to that power. The 3 core fears: the fear of outshining and losing our connection, the fear of responsibility and the pressure of expectation, and the deepest fear of all for the one who learned to be invisible, the fear of visibility. And most importantly, you now have a practice, a gentle, somatic tool to speak directly to your nervous system, the 30-second embodiment of success. This is not just a feel-good exercise, it is a form of deep shadow work. It is a way to create new, body-based evidence that contradicts the old fears. Each time you practice it, you are patiently, lovingly retraining that inner guardian. You are expanding your capacity to hold more light, more joy, and more of your own magnificent power. Imagine Chloe, our nurse, a few months from now. The leadership position comes up again. She feels that familiar flicker of fear, that old impulse to shrink back. But this time, it is not a tidal wave that consumes her, it is just a ripple. Because for months, she has been practicing. Every day for 30 seconds, she has been feeling the quiet confidence in her hands, the warmth of a job well done, the pride of a boundary held. She has been whispering to her nervous system, "It is safe to shine." Her body has a new memory now, a memory of safety in strength. And so this time, she takes a deep breath. She feels the fear, and she also feels the solid ground beneath her feet. She feels the scared child, and she also feels the capable adult who can protect that child. She holds both. And from that place of wholeness, she completes the application. She takes the step. Not because the fear is gone, but because her capacity to hold the fear and to act anyway has grown. This is the journey. You are not trying to eliminate the fear. You are building a container of safety that is strong enough to hold it. You are becoming a safe home for your own brilliance. Now that you are learning to feel safe with your power internally, the natural next step is to learn how to express that power effectively in the external world. How do you protect your newfound energy? How do you honor your needs in your relationships with others? The most fundamental and often the most difficult tool for expressing your personal power comes down to a single, sacred, 2-letter word. It is the word no. And that is where our journey must go next. It is time to learn the practical, guilt-free scripts and the energetic posture of the art of the sacred no. For this week, your invitation is to begin the practice of embodiment. Commit to the 30-second embodiment of success, just once a day. Find your micro win. feel it in your body, and whisper the new truth. To make this intention real and to join a community of others who are also learning to shine, I invite you to share this powerful declaration in the comments below. It is safe for me to shine. Thank you for your courage. The world needs your light.